kids are sitting on whatever is available, but usually there's benches. But on a 8 or 10-foot bench, you'll probably have 12 to 14 children.
But not only now, but for eternity.
That's right.
Introducing these kids to Jesus, especially at a young age, is so impactful and important. And that's really what Starfish is about.
Thank you for joining Mercy Today. How do mercy and compassion break down barriers and change everything? How do they bring hope? Be inspired as our guests share about the life-changing, soul-impacting work through the ministry of Mercy, Inc. and its partners. Here's your host, Dr. Dan Critchett.
Hey, I'm really happy to welcome you to another episode of Mercy Today Radio. We just get to have such an exciting and wonderful time telling about the great work of Mercy, Inc., working around the world, really, to touch lives and to meet needs. And I get to be the person that talks to the folks that are involved in the partnerships, and I get to bring you along, too, as you listen. So God is up to something very special in Haiti. We've had a few shows about Haiti, and we've had some about the Bethesda Medical Center. Those are great. You want to listen to those, go back to our podcast. We did a previous episode on the Child Sponsorship Program, and that program is what provides much needed help for the education of the upcoming generation, reaching into the families and with the children, giving them an opportunity for education. Now we're going to learn about how it works and what a difference it is making. So back in the studio today, we have two people that are very involved in the program, and they have committed their lives and their hearts to this kind of work. They love the children of Haiti. They'd like to bring them all home, but we're going to be talking about that. They have a very special place in their hearts for these kids, and they actually get to make such a big difference. This we're going to talk about today. So you'll hear why they have such a passion for this ministry, and you might find yourself thinking, wow, I want to be a part of that. And we're going to help you understand how you could. So today's episode is called Starfish Child Sponsorship. It's a win-win-win. Yeah, there's a third win in there, and we'll make it clear what that third win is. So I want to welcome you to the discussion today, invite you to lean in, open your heart, and listen all the way to the end. We got good stuff all along on this podcast. So back in studio today is Bud and Cindy Lenker. Cindy directed the program in Haiti and has a passion for this ministry, and I said this before, Bud is very involved and would sponsor all the kids in Haiti if he could. Is that right, Bud?
Absolutely the truth.
Can't bring them all home, but
nope.
We can sponsor, and so I'm going to do that too. Before we leave, I'm going to, and I mentioned this on the other show too. So we had a show called Starfish. It made a difference for that one. It was a great show. You want to go and listen to that one too. So they're back today to share about this. The topic is Starfish Child Sponsorship. It's a win-win-win. So let's jump right into it, Cindy and Bud, and let's summarize the Starfish Kids program from our previous podcast. In case anybody didn't listen to it, we can kind of summarize things for us.
So the program is $25 a month, and that provides, from the sponsor, prayer, obviously, for the child. It provides tuition for them to attend school. There's no public school in Haiti, so anytime a child goes, they have to pay for school. So it provides tuition and books. And the books are shared not just with the Starfish child, but with other students in the school.
Okay, yeah. And you had said otherwise about uniform. So that provides for the uniform too?
No, the parents provide for the uniform.
Okay.
The parents have to have the uniform. That's their piece of it. They get the child to school. And the student has to commit to attend school, get good grades, and attend church on Sundays as well.
I like that. It's called skin in the game.
Yes.
You got to have some investment. It's a partnership. I like that. That's beautiful. So tell us, is there any other thing? I know we talked previously about a possible feeding program that's not up and running yet, but you're going to be directing the program. Yes. And so that's really high on your list to get that done. So we provide nutrition. Maybe tell us a little again about what that costs and what that would cover.
Well, the feeding program, I think, would be about 35 cents a child a day.
Yeah.
So for the intent would be that the program would cover feeding for an entire school at a time. Yeah. There's about 30 schools involved in the program. So we do one school at a time and then move on to the next school. And
And these are Christian schools.
All Christian schools.
Yeah, and they're associated with the Emmaus
Fellowship of Churches.
Okay, okay. And so what I want us to get a picture of is if a person felt led or called to provide some of the feeding program, what they're doing is they're really making it possible for kids to go to school and be fed and have Christian training too.
Absolutely.
Christian upbringing.
Yes.
Which is hard to come by. Right. Otherwise.
Yes.
And so a person says, I'm feeding the mind with education. I'm feeding the tummy and the body with the food. And then they're getting the spiritual nurture too. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I just want to keep casting that out there because some people that are listening right now, they're saying, that is really interesting to me. I might be able to find $10 or $25 for the education part. So keep listening because we're going to let you know how you can actually do that. So answer me this question. Without the education, okay, so now you can only help because of Starfish, it made a difference for that one.
Correct.
What happens in a child's life if they don't have the opportunity for education? What's their future like?
Well, hopeless, I think, would be one word. Despairing. Children would grow up into teenagers and adults. Many would get married very young, not even married, but would get into relationships young. There'd be a lot more opportunity for pregnancy and disease and those types of things.
And that just complicates the matter, right?
Right.
Because they're 15, 18, whatever else, and now they've got kids, and now what are they going to do? And, they're not, oh my gosh.
It also makes them less employable.
Yeah, okay.
So even though
without an education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the real low, they have very high unemployment, so without education, it just gives them less of a chance to be able to.
Got to have an advantage.
Right.
And without education, that's a big disadvantage. Exactly. So what you're doing is you're intervening into an otherwise possibly hopeless future, and you're tapping into that life, into that family, into that child's life, and you're saying, I want to help. I want to be a part of that.
And having one educated sibling also reflects and helps the other siblings because they go home and teach their sibling the things they learn at school. They go home, they share their books. They're proud. They're proud to be in school. Right? Yeah. It's a privilege.
Can you tell a bit more about that? What is it like? So a fifth grader comes home and they got younger siblings, let's say, and so that child is saying, here's what I learned today. That it blesses the whole family.
Yes, exactly.
Can you say some more about that?
Well, I know growing up, I played school a lot, and I had imaginary students.
Yeah.
So in Haiti, where many of the families have several siblings, the students will go home and teach the kids. That's another benefit of the program for the family.
And there's a lot of cases where the parents are uneducated. And there's many cases where the students are going home teaching their parents how to read, basic math.
Yeah.
That, we take so for granted here at home.
That's correct. Also, when they start attending school or get sponsored, they'll learn about Jesus, and they take that home to their families. There's no guarantee their family is a Christian family going into it. They're just wanting their kids in school.
Right. And they're okay with it being a Christian school because, they don't have a whole lot of choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what a great opportunity, a ticket to a better future.
Yeah.
So do you have any of those stories? I'm just kind of asking this off the top, but any stories of how that might have impacted a family?
Well, I know a story of a young woman who Cap Haitian is kind of in the lower part or at sea level, and she lived up in a rural area in the mountains.
And, excuse me, say that name again.
Cap Haitian.
Is that a city or a region? Or it's a city? Okay.
Second largest city in Haiti.
Okay.
On the northern side of the...
Okay.
She lived up in the mountains. She had a husband with her. They had one child. She got pregnant and had triplets, which is a burden here.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
But had triplets. Came down the mountain to seek help at the Bethesda Clinic. Got help there, and in the meantime, the missionary who did Starfish befriended her, knew her story, and got her older child in Starfish school, and the mom got her a home here or in that area.
Yeah.
Got the other children sponsored as they got school-aged, helped the mom find some jobs sewing and making some jewelry, and so it completely changed her life.
Wow. The impact of a little bit of help, a little bit of heart makes a big difference. We've had a couple of shows on Bethesda Medical Center, and I would invite listeners to go back and look for those on our website because those are powerful too. Yeah. I just want to keep saying that God is doing some amazing things in Haiti.
Yes, he
and
is.
Whether it's a child sponsorship and whatever it is, and the medical center, so much going on, impacting families. I'm going to ask you a couple of special questions, and we'll do that right after the break.
I'm Brad Swinford with Salem Concrete Paving. It's a privilege to partner with Mercy, Inc., who provides hope to people around the world by meeting critical needs and introducing people to Jesus. I know that through Mercy, Inc., I'm investing in God's kingdom as they spread the love and gospel of Christ around the world. So please join me in supporting Mercy, Inc. and Mercy Today Radio by praying or going to their website at MercyToday.global. Thank you.
This is Doug Hoffman, Executive Director for Mercy, Inc. Today I want to take you back to Africa. I want to talk about Bridge to Reading in particular. Bridge to Reading is a program where we teach adults how to read and write in their own language. And as we do that, we see a difference in their lives because all of a sudden there's more dignity in the home. There is more respect for the wives, for example, because they can't read. They're not considered worthy at that point in time. As they begin to read and write, then they can do their budgets. They can provide an income. Also, they can read the Bible. And if you think about it, as they start to become spiritually aware and they're actually able to take the Bible and make a difference in their lives, not only for their kids, but for their husband and for themselves for eternity. It is a powerful, powerful tool as we bring Bridge to Reading, teaching people how to read and write in their own language across the world.
Now's the time to become a part of something greater in our community. You and your organization can partner with Mercy Today and change the lives of thousands around the world. Our team of business professionals can also come alongside you and help you grow your organization to maximize your impact. Our goal is to help you increase your quadruple bottom line: people, planet, profit, and purpose. Consider being a sponsor of Mercy Today. Visit our website at MercyToday.global.
We are in studio today with Bud and Cindy Lenker. Welcome back. We had a break there. We're going to wrap it up here. We're going to cover a few more details. You want to stay tuned because we got some good news for you in a way that you can learn more and get involved. This is the Starfish Child Sponsorship Program, and the title of this episode is Starfish Child Sponsorship. For some reason, I'm having a hard time saying those words all together. Starfish Child Sponsorship. It's a win-win-win. So we wanted to hear a little bit, take us inside of a classroom because this is all about education. For $25 a month, you pick a child up out of a hopeless future and you give them that gift. Now, the parents have an investment. They buy the uniform and other things are going on. Thanks for the help. And so the sponsor then provides for the ongoing education. They go to a school, which is part of a church. And we believe in the validity of the church because there's an association that OMS is partnered with, right?
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
So take us inside. What does that classroom look like?
Well, the Emmaus Fellowship of Churches, the number of schools, there's 30, and they're all throughout the northern part of Haiti. And so they're all very different.
Okay.
So one day we drove through quite a ways through 2 rivers and up a mountain, and we then got out and walked up the hill, and it was plywood sides and tarps and very, very rustic. Very
Man,
rural.
I got a picture in my mind. Thank you. That really helps. So you go inside.
Yeah, we go inside. Kids are sitting on whatever is available, but usually there's benches of some sort.
Okay.
But on a 8 or 10 foot bench, you'll probably have 12 to 14 children.
Really?
They're cheek to cheek on that bench.
Really?
And very, very few schools have enough benches for all their children.
So if a listener says, you need more benches, maybe I could help out. So, Bud, tell us about the bench.
You could easily purchase a bench for $50.
$50.
And it would be made by a carpenter there in Haiti.
Okay.
And delivered to the school.
And that provides income for him.
Absolutely.
For the carpenter.
Yes. Yep.
And then you're providing a place for kids to get up off the ground and to sit on a bench and be at attention. And that just seems to me like
it's just one more thing that makes it comfortable and enhances the learning process.
Exactly. That's right. Because I was a school teacher back in the day, and I know how important the environment is and the furniture. You think that's a little thing, but it really does make a difference.
That's right.
So $50 for a bench. Let's move on. What else do we want? The kids are all in uniforms?
They're all in uniforms. The little girls have ponytails all over their heads with baubles and special ribbons and shoes, and the boys have little shorts and their white shirts, and they're all...
They look pretty sharp then, right? They kind of stand out in the midst of what might not be a very fancy building.
Right. Their uniforms are very precious to them.
Oh my
and
gosh,
they only wear them to school or church on Sunday. And then they go straight home, and whatever little ragged clothes they have, they change immediately.
Wow. Yeah. And the teacher, are they trained, certified? I mean, where do they get the teachers?
The teachers are trained. Haiti's educational system requires that the teachers have a certain amount of training.
Okay, good.
The Starfish sponsorship does help with some of that training and salary to keep the teachers employed.
Yeah.
The classroom might be very rural, like what I talked about, open-walled, and might have a chalkboard and may not, but most do. Sometimes they'll just have a sheet between the classrooms to break up the spaces or the grade levels. Yeah. Other schools are concrete cement buildings and look very nice and are painted and have a lot more to them as far as facility and
a lot of variety.
Yeah.
So if I was to have a visual, be a fly on a wall, we say it here, so I could zoom into one of those classrooms, and if I was sponsoring a kid and my kid was in that classroom sitting on that bench that Bud's going to tell us, he already told us about, but he likes that subject, I can look down the row and I say, that kid, that's mine.
That's right.
He's here learning. He's getting a better future because I was able to provide for $25 a month.
Right.
Change his future, and he's going to take some of that back. The family's going to be impacted, going to be helped, maybe help the parents learn, help the younger siblings, maybe they go to church. It's just such a life-changing thing.
Right. It changes their home. It changes their community. It's a very communal society.
Right.
They're all together, and it makes an impact.
Wow.
But not only now, but for eternity.
That's right.
Introducing these kids to Jesus.
Thank you.
Especially at a young age.
Yeah.
Is so impactful and important.
Right.
That's really what Starfish is about.
Well, we know we're rescuing them from a whole lot of trouble and difficulty. If they don't have a Christian or biblical foundation and have values and principles and beliefs that will help spare them the trouble of as you were talking earlier, Cindy, about the prostitution and the sex trafficking and the crime and all that stuff. Right. It seems kind of hopeless. And again, Starfish, it saved that one. It made a difference for that one. So as we finish here, let's talk about the win-win-win. So I asked that off the air, but you got it. So just help us understand what those three wins are.
It's a win for the student, it's a win for the sponsor, and it's a win for God's kingdom.
That's right.
I love it. And I just want to say that God is smiling. There's a rejoicing in his heart to see that his people rise up and make a difference. I mean, it's not $250 a month.
That's right.
It's $25 a month. So we're going to have to conclude with that. And I thank you guys for coming in. And we're going to have you in some more. I want to keep up to date with what you guys are doing. And so any listener that wants to do that, just go to our website, which is MercyToday.global. Sign up for our updates. You can get a link in your inbox every Monday morning and stay tuned in. And if you're thinking about even learning more about the sponsorship program, do the same thing. Go to our contact page, MercyToday.global, and just put in the word Starfish. Bud will call you, Cindy will call you, or we'll get connected, get you updated, get all the information you need. I said before, I have a stack of papers here. Each one is one child, and I'm going to pick one. And before we leave, I'm going to be done with that. So we're just going to cover a couple of other things. And I just want to remind you that $25 a month, as Cindy has been explaining, this fantastic program, you sponsor a child, every month you have an auto draft out of you don't even notice it, right? And yet you are changing the future of a child and perhaps more than that, beyond that, with the family and ultimately maybe a community. So we want you to think about that. Also, Bud's talking about the bench. So we went inside that classroom and we saw some kids just standing or sitting on the ground because they didn't have enough benches. And for $50, you can buy a bench, and it'll be there for how long would that bench be there, Bud?
Years and years.
Years and years, yeah. Yep. So by the time the kids are sitting on it now, by the time they're grandparents, that bench will still be there.
We would hope it would last that long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll make sure that we do that.
Maybe parents.
Okay. So it's a fantastic program. It is Starfish Child Sponsorship. We talked about it as being a win-win-win. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
So I'm going to put Bud on the spot here because we had a show that we just did recently with the director of Bridge to Reading. And the director is James Kagamwa, and his native language is Swahili. And so we asked him to say John 3:16 in Swahili. And it was absolutely beautiful and wonderful.
Yohana 3:16, kwa maana jinsi hii Mungu aliupenda ulimwengu hata akamtoa mwanawe pekee ili kila mtu amwaminie asipotee bali awe na uzima wa milele.
So Cindy and Bud have been away from Haiti a period of time, and when they're there, they're working and not really going to the Creole classes. So I'm not going to ask you to do it, but Bud, I'm going to ask you this: say John 3:16 in English.
For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Beautiful. I threw that to you unexpected. You didn't know that was coming, did you? Yeah. So that's fantastic. That's what drives us. That's what makes us live, and that's why we do what we do.
Amen.
Before we got into this, I'd ask Bud and Cindy about something that they want to make sure that our listeners hear and understand. And they mentioned the word despair. So tell us a little bit more about what that's like in Haiti.
Well, Haiti is considered a fifth world country, which is really worse than a third world country.
Yeah.
There is lots of poverty, extreme poverty, and hopelessness. And yet, they have all the vices that we struggle with in the United States.
Okay, sure.
So, in that hopeless despair, people sometimes turn to that, which is just even all the harder for the children. But
so you're saying that some of the parents, maybe the men in particular, I don't want to assume, but if they do have any money or any resources, they tend to spend those on those other things and not for the feeding of the kids and taking care of their, okay.
Yeah.
So then you're entering into that situation in a family life and you're offering a ticket out. It doesn't cover everything, but it does cover education.
That's right.
And which gives them a brighter future, their stature in the community and in the country. Now, I know you would love to bring on the feeding program. I want to talk about that just for a moment.
Yes.
Because there are some people who are listening and say, I'm all in favor of education, but if a child can't eat. So, and it's not, we can't say anything yet about anything in particular, but tell us a little bit about what you're working toward in terms of having a feeding program there in Haiti.
Well, for 35 cents a day, we could feed a student.
Wow.
That would give them a meal of probably rice and beans or even maybe just a biscuit and some peanut butter.
Yeah.
But it's something. And
wait a minute. I'm doing some math here. It's $10 a month?
Yep. Per student.
Feed a child.
Yep.
Okay. So we want to be able to announce that, and we want people to get that information because they'd be all over that if it can provide education and a feeding program for a child.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
Fantastic. So I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead. Tell us some more.
No, so the 35 cents is a really minuscule amount of money, seemingly, but we're hoping to expand the program to include a feeding program. We'd like to get that up and going. We'd look for people to fund just the feeding portion if they're interested in doing that.
Okay, good. That's a good option.
Yeah.
And would they sponsor a particular child with a feeding program or just donate to the larger pool that is used to feed the kids at the school?
Larger pool. It would be the larger pool.
Okay.
And we would look to do a school at a time. That if we could complete a whole school and do a feeding program there, we could hire a couple of people to actually provide jobs to do the cooking, and so it would impact a school at a time.
So what I'm thinking is our listeners, you have the capability to go to our website, MercyToday.global, and get on our distribution list so you get updates, because then as we see perhaps the feeding program getting a little closer, then we can start looking for specific targeted donors, and we can continue to talk about the sponsorship program. So Starfish Child Sponsorship, it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins. So Bud and Cindy, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great having you again. So we'll stay in touch.
We'll be back with more Mercy Today right after this.
How do you multiply your time, talent, and treasures? By investing in Mercy Today. Whether it's going on a mission outreach halfway around the world or sharing your insights and experiences with others in our local community, our team of business professionals can help you multiply what God has given you. We can help you grow your organization so that you and your fellow work associates can utilize your talents for even greater causes as you multiply your resources to do even more. Join us and become a sponsor of Mercy Today. Visit our website at MercyToday.global. Have you been looking for new ways to grow your organization and have a lasting, eternal impact? Mercy Today has an amazing team of business professionals that have managed small businesses to large corporations, and we want to share that know-how and experience with you. We're also committed our lives to sharing the gospel with compassion and serving the practical needs of communities around the world. Partner with us and become a sponsor of Mercy Today. Visit our website at MercyToday.global.
This is Doug Hoffman, Executive Director for Mercy, Inc. Just thanking you for listening to MercyToday.global.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. It's great to listen to people that are really all in. They're just doing great things. If you have questions about Starfish or about any of the other things that we do, just go to our website, MercyToday.global. Just give us a shout, knock on our door, say, yes, I'm interested. Go to our contact page, fill out that form, and just give us a hint about what you want, what you're interested in. We'll get back to you. So we'd love it if you would sign up to receive our podcast, which it'll be in your inbox. Just let us know that it's okay to do that. So I want to thank you for listening today. This is Mercy Today Radio, telling the story of how compassion changes everything. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Critchett, saying goodbye for now, but until next time, may God help you be a part of what He is doing in our world today. Join us again, and every time, go to our podcast to listen to them all. We're going to find out where in the world we'll be going next. You go and hear about it right there. God bless you, my friend. Goodbye for now.